Hi, it's Katrina. The best proof yet of alien life has just been discovered on a planet far away, and the world is freaking out. Not to mention a video has dropped showing ancient structures on the moon. Space is happening right now, and today we'll launch into the latest missions, the biggest discoveries, and why it all matters. Hope you're ready. Secrets of the Shadow Moon. All right, conspiracy lovers and cosmic aficionados, let's talk about the moon. As it turns out, the moon might be a little more crowded than NASA has led us to believe. A curious little video has been orbiting the depths of YouTube. It claims that Neil Armstrong himself, the first man to moonwalk without sequins, filmed actual ancient alien structures on the lunar surface during the Apollo 11 mission in 1969. And no, I'm not talking about a weird rock that looks like a rabbit. These are huge, obviously artificial structures. Rectangular, geometrically suspicious, looking a lot like ruined moon condos. For those of you alive during moon mania in the 1960s, you might remember how excited the US was about landing on the big pale cheese in the sky. You may also remember that a few missions later, NASA went radio silent. They packed up their gear, said, "We're good," and never went back. Suspicious, right? NASA was on a roll with space exploration, and then they just quit for no reason? Which brings me back to the alleged Armstrong footage. Posted on YouTube under the title Capture 171, the video claims to show structures on the moon that don't look natural unless lava started taking architecture classes. But are these structures real? Is the video even real? There's kind of no way of telling at this point, but I can tell you that astronauts in space frequently experience unusual encounters. Former astronaut and real-deal moonwalker Dr. Edgar Mitchell once said, "There is no doubt that we are being visited. No, we are not alone." And that's from someone who's been to the moon. Where have you been lately? If you want more evidence, let me introduce you to Dr. John Brandenburg, former deputy manager of NASA's Clementine mission. He was the head honcho when water was found at the moon's poles in 1994. He said that the Clementine mission was a reconnaissance mission to check whether someone else had established a base on the moon yet. And what they found in pictures was a miles-wide rectilinear structure, that's a word I don't use every day, that looked unmistakably artificial. When asked about the structure, Dr. Brandenburg said, "It isn't ours. There's no way we could have built such a thing. It means someone else is up there." That is a bold statement. When you hear legit NASA scientists admitting someone or something was already on the moon before us, it makes you wonder what else NASA might be hiding from the general population. Sure, I can't 100% verify the video. Maybe it's real. Maybe it's a hoax cooked up in someone's mom's basement using an iMac and imagination. But even if this clip isn't of a real alien city on the moon, it doesn't mean there isn't one up there. The sheer number of scientists, astronauts, and government insiders speaking out about extraterrestrials and moon mysteries is pretty serious. Could it be an abandoned city, an ancient galactic rest stop, the moon's version of Atlantis, or just some weird rocks? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. The best discovery of alien life yet. 120 light years from Earth, orbiting a tiny red dwarf star, there is a planet by the name of K2-18b. And scientists have just found life on it. You heard me. I said life, as in alien life. Well, signatures of life at least. On this warm, watery, Earth-like planet, scientists identified a chemical in the atmosphere that is only known to be produced by one thing. And that one thing is living things, specifically marine algae. Researchers from the University of Cambridge were peering into deep space with the James Webb Space Telescope, as one does, when they found something weird. Inside K2-18b's thick hydrogen-rich atmosphere was a molecule called dimethyl sulfide, or DMS. Here on Earth, DMS is only made by living organisms, mostly sea algae that likes to party and burp into the air. If this same chemical is on K2-18b, it begs the question, is there something alive there? Something producing DMS right now? Or is the universe just trolling us with cosmic coincidences? A lot of scientists are saying this is irrefutable proof of alien life. However, as always, there are some issues. Mainly that no one really knows what K2-18b is made of. Some scientists think it's a Hycean planet, which is new lingo for a water world with a hydrogen atmosphere, kind of like a super Earth meets a mini Neptune with spa vibes. Dr. Niku Madhusudan, lead author of the new study and king of Hycean hype, called it a revolutionary moment. I think we just found alien soup. Others, like Dr. Christopher Gline of the Southwest Research Institute, are pumping the brakes and saying, let's not freak out yet. He warns that K218b might just be a giant rock with magma oceans and an atmosphere so toxic even your ex wouldn't live there. And fair enough, this isn't proof of life yet. It's more like the universe whispering, hey, maybe check over there. I know we should all be cautious, but this does have the potential to be the discovery of the decade. Even the cautious scientists are kind of losing it. Scientists who dismiss pretty much every weird or unusual theory are climbing on board the Hycean alien train. Nicole Lewis, a Cornell University exoplanet expert, said, I'm not screaming aliens, but I always reserve my right to scream aliens. I like her. That's the general vibe in the scientific community right now. There are only two possible outcomes. This could be the first time humanity's caught a whiff of alien life across the universe, or it could be space gas from a planet that smells weird for no biological reason. Science is fun like that. Luckily for us, curious humans, this is just the beginning. New telescopes are on the way. The James Webb Telescope is still doing its thing, but the best is yet to come. Stay tuned. And now for a quick break because I wanted to give a big thank you to Again Gagnon for the super thanks. It really means a lot, and we wouldn't be here without you. Be sure to subscribe to join the Origins Explained family if you haven't already. The Martian Portal. You are never going to guess what NASA has done this time. They didn't give us direct proof of alien shenanigans, but they did casually drop a photo of a giant hole on Mars. I say hole, but it's more like a portal. Like a huge, monstrous, perfectly round portal. Where does it lead? No one knows. Maybe Martian hell? Maybe to an underground alien city? Maybe to another dimension? NASA dropped the image and then went back to pretending everything's normal. Sorry, what? This gaping Martian portal is roughly 328 feet wide. It was snapped by the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter in 2017 and only now released as NASA's astronomy picture of the day. You know, just your average scenic vacation pic of a massive void possibly hiding alien life. No big deal, NASA. You might be thinking I'm overreacting. Surely it's just a crater on Mars, a perfectly normal crater like we have here on Earth. But NASA said, and I quote, these kinds of holes might be portals to lower levels. I mean, did someone at NASA just start watching Stranger Things again, or are they really talking about portals to lower levels of the planet? According to NASA brainiacs, the Martian surface is about as hospitable as a gas station bathroom during a heat wave. But it could be home to underground caves? Now we're talking about potential habitable areas for humans. Apparently, these holes are big deals because they may lead to massive lava tubes or natural tunnels. The areas are shielded from radiation and cosmic nastiness, making them ideal bases for human exploration. And if you're an alien microbe trying to survive on Mars, you're probably surviving in one of these Martian man caves. NASA even hinted that these spots could be prime real estate for astronauts, robots, and eventually, average human colonists. But what even made the crater? NASA's best guess is a meteor impact. Sorry everyone, it wasn't alien architects. Dr. Glenn Cushing from the United States Geological Survey said that researchers have already mapped over 1,000 possible cave entrances on Mars. But they don't know where a single one of them goes. It's like seeing 1,000 doors leading into a building while having no clue what's inside the building. Someone needs to get to Mars ASAP and climb down into this gaping portal to see what lurks underneath. Einstein's theory confirmed by gravity probe. Albert Einstein, the guy with the crazy hair who made time bend with his brain, once said it would be impossible to measure a certain freaky effect of gravity known as frame dragging. Well, NASA has just done the impossible, and Einstein is rolling in his grave, probably of happiness. These weren't just abstract ideas. Gravity Probe B, a satellite launched in 2004, just confirmed two of Einstein's wildest predictions. One, that Earth warps the fabric of space-time like a cosmic bowling ball on a trampoline. Two, that Earth drags space around with it as it spins. I know it's hard to picture, but it's kind of amazing. Earth is basically stirring space like it's a sugar-free latte. Frame dragging is a crazy concept. It means that when a large celestial object like Earth spins, it spins space with it, like a bowling ball being spun inside of a vat of honey. The honey in this simile is space-time itself. The idea is that anyone caught inside the spinning space-time will have their perception twisted. They'll get space whiplash. Einstein predicted frame dragging, but he also said there was no way anyone would ever be able to measure it. Einstein said it would be like trying to spot a gnat doing the moonwalk from 10 miles away. NASA just proved Einstein both right and wrong. They launched Gravity Probe B into orbit with 4 of the most precise gyroscopes ever made. So sensitive, they could measure an angle as tiny as 6,600 milliarcseconds. That's a unit of measurement so small, I don't even have something to compare it to. But mission leader Francis Everett does. Francis said it's like spotting a single human hair from 10 miles away. Once the probe was launched, it locked onto a distant star, IM Pegasi, using something called a star tracker. Then it floated up, watching, waiting, measuring the tiniest of drifts in the gyroscopes over the course of a year. And sure enough, the gyros wobbled just enough to prove Einstein's theory that he came up with 70 years ago. The fact that Einstein's math remains undefeated, even when modern scientists try to break it with billion-dollar satellites, it's kind of terrifying and amazing. What does all of this mean for you, though? Who cares if frame dragging exists or not? To be honest, unless you're planning to launch a black hole next weekend, it probably has no effect on your life whatsoever. But for scientists trying to understand quasars, rotating black holes, and the chaotic ballet of galaxies being yeeted across the universe, this is huge news. That said, it's not quite as exciting as what NASA just found on Mars, so don't change the channel. A crash UFO on Mars. Mars presents a cold, red, dusty, and seemingly barren landscape. It's not the kind of place where you would expect a pilot to crash, but here we are. NASA has just released a photograph of what appears to be a space pilot's tragic disaster. An alien ship appears to have crashed and burned on the Martian surface. NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter has been snapping pics of Mars like a cosmic paparazzo since 2006. But one image in particular, taken somewhere between February 2012 and June 2014, has the UFO crowd yelling, "We told you so!" What's got them worked up? A mysterious disc-shaped object that appears to have crash-landed in the region known as Elysium Planitia. And yes, it looks suspiciously like something that belongs in Star Trek, or Star Wars, any of those shows. The object seems to have left a distinct crater rim where it crashed, plus a splash of debris looks to have been flung all over the area from the impact. The flung debris is darker than the surrounding terrain, while something shiny at the center of the crater is reflecting sunlight. Everything in the image points to a crashed flying saucer, but NASA won't say that. They've come out publicly and said that yes, things do hit Mars all the time. Meteorites, space junk, etc. The surface is a giant bullseye for space rocks. But NASA said nothing about a crashed UFO. In fact, they tend to avoid using the acronym UFO altogether. What's really amazing about this particular discovery is that there are before and after images. NASA took photos of the Elysium Planitia before the impact. You can see in the pictures that there's nothing there. Then they snapped photos after, and you can clearly see that something smashed into the surface. Hard. Here's the after image. Take a look and let me know what you think. Does it look like a spaceship crashed and exploded? Now, here's the before and after side by side. Pretty convincing, right? Is it a UFO, some of our space junk, or a meteorite? You let me know what it is in the comments. Dyson Spheres. Could alien civilizations be harnessing the power of entire stars right now? For alien architects and sci-fi daydreamers, the wildly ambitious concept of Dyson Spheres, those star-swallowing mega lampshades dreamed up by physicist Freeman Dyson in the 1960s, might actually work. A new twist suggests it's more than just fantasy. But there's a catch. And by catch, I mean it's nearly impossible to pull off. Before getting into the heavy stuff, let me give you a quick refresh course on sci-fi technology. Freeman Dyson imagined a world of affordable, high-tech vacuums and air purifiers. Kidding, that's a different Dyson. Our Dyson imagined that super advanced civilizations would need a ridiculous amount of energy to sustain themselves. So much energy that coal and nuclear power wouldn't even dent their utility bill. Dyson figured instead of harnessing energy from their planet, they would use their host star. This mighty civilization would build a sphere around a star to harness 100% of its power output. You think solar panels on your roof are pretty good? Imagine 100 billion majillion kafillion solar panels hugging the sun, all hooked up to your generator. Now that's power. Unfortunately, the cold, hard laws of science throw a wrench in the Dyson Sphere dream. The thing about gravity is that it doesn't care about your dreams. Inside a hollow sphere, gravity cancels itself out. There's nothing holding the star in place. So eventually, the star just drifts around and smacks into the sphere, creating the galaxy's most expensive demolition fail. Think of it like trying to build a hamster wheel around the hamster. The hamster isn't just going to sit still. In comes Colin McInnes, an engineer at the University of Glasgow. He has a solution for the Dyson problem. In his new study, published in the monthly notices of the Royal Astronomical Society, McInnes dug into binary star systems. Those are systems with two stars. Believe it or not, they are fairly common across the galaxy. McInnes ran the numbers and found a formula that makes sense for building a Dyson sphere. You just need one big star and one tiny star about 10 times smaller. You wrap the Dyson sphere around the smaller star and it acts like a gravitational leash, orbiting the larger star while keeping the sphere stable and not spiraling into disaster. It's a delicate balancing act, but it is possible. McInnes has proven that the science behind a Dyson sphere is real. These monster generators could be built, but could one of those things really be out there right now, wrapped around a distant star? Scientists don't know, but they are looking. If they find anything convincing, I'll be sure to let you know ASAP. That time a UFO delayed NASA. It seems like just about anything can delay your flight. Have you ever sat at the airport for 8 hours just waiting for your plane to take off, only for it to inevitably get canceled anyway? We've all been there. But in 2006, it happened to a spaceship, and it wasn't a gremlin on the wing that caused the delay. It was something worse. In September 2006, Space Shuttle Atlantis was wrapping up a smooth, textbook mission to the International Space Station. The astronauts were about to head home when something delayed their flight. A mysterious object was drifting alongside the shuttle, co-orbiting like it got invited to the mission and didn't bring snacks. And with that, NASA hit the brakes. The Atlantis crew spotted this mystery object moving in sync with the shuttle via an onboard camera, but the video quality was pure 2006, aka potato mode. Zoom in, enhance. No way, Jose. All they got was a dark blob doing a mysterious slow spin above Earth. Cue immediate confusion from Houston. NASA wasn't about to risk re-entry with a possible mystery alien hovering around their multi-billion-dollar spacecraft, so the flight home was delayed. Commander Brent Jett said whatever it was didn't look like anything he'd seen before. Jett described two ring-like objects floating around. Not space tools, not thermal blankets, just weird rings in space with no explanation. And to this day, no explanation has ever been found. NASA has listed some options, saying maybe it was ice, a tiny plastic shim, or some space debris. They don't want to admit an alien vessel may have been creeping on them from their blind spot. Space tornadoes. Have you ever wondered what's at the very center of our galaxy? Is it one giant star burning brighter than 1,000 suns? Could there be a secret civilization at the heart of it all? The answer is something you would never ever guess. Way out in the center of our Milky Way galaxy, about 25,000 light years away, a violent, swirling mess is unfolding amid stars and cosmic dust. At the center of our home galaxy are space tornadoes whipping around like a cosmic blender set to puree a supermassive black hole. Core of our galaxy is known as the Central Molecular Zone, or CMZ, and it's home to long, skinny filaments of gas and dust spinning around like spaghetti in a NutriBullet. This amazing new discovery was made by a team of international astronomers led by Kai Yang from Shanghai Jiao Tong University. They used the Atacama Large Millimeter Submillimeter Array, or ALMA for short. It's the telescope equivalent of a 4K camera on caffeine, offering incredible 0.01 parsec resolution. That's like spotting a tic tac on the moon. But what even are space tornadoes? It's not exactly a phrase you hear often. These swirling structures were traced using silicon monoxide, a molecule that shows up when shock waves smash through gas clouds. And guess what? These filaments aren't just floating around aimlessly. They seem to be distributing shock-released molecules like tiny, angry delivery guys, throwing molecules into space like Oprah handed out free cars. Xing Liu, a research professor at the Shanghai Astronomical Observatory, was the one who called the spinning filaments space tornadoes. And he really nailed the vibe. Why? Because they are narrow, they move fast, they're chaotic, and just like real tornadoes, they ruin everything in their path and disappear before anyone knows what hit them. Seriously, these things take molecules and toss them into the surrounding chaos and then vanish. Scientists think they could be key to how matter gets recycled in this region. In other words, these filaments are like the cosmic compost bins of the galaxy. They are churning up space dust and recycling stray matter floating through the void. What causes these tornadoes is still a mystery. Why do they exist? Nobody knows, but what's clear is that they play a crucial role in the life cycle of matter near the galactic center. They might even help feed the nearby black hole. The next step is more study. More ALMA surveys, more molecules, more high-resolution peeks into the galactic jungle. Scientists need to learn more because the last thing Earth needs is to be hit by a random space tornado. Just when you thought the universe couldn't get any weirder, here we are. Is the moon made of metal? Okay guys, hit the X-Files theme music and dim the lights. Imagine you're zooming past stars, space rocks, questionable Elon tweets, all the way to the dark side of the moon. It's here on this shady lunar surface that scientists have stumbled upon something insane. It's hiding deep beneath a crater and no one can figure out what it is. Astronomers at Baylor University found a mysterious metal mass the size of a nightmare and the weight of 1,000 conspiracy theories buried under the moon's largest crater like an interstellar Easter egg. It's so bizarre, even NASA's like, okay, this is getting weird. Nestled beneath the Aitken Basin, which, fun fact, is the largest preserved crater in the entire solar system, researchers discovered a huge metallic anomaly. And when I say huge, I mean 5 of Hawaii's big islands put together huge. Let that sink in. It's like burying all of New York City under the moon and then forgetting about it. Why is there a chunk of metal bigger than 5 tropical islands under our lovely moon friend? Dr. Peter B. James, lead researcher and part-time moon detective, is trying to come up with a solution for what this thing is. It almost feels like it's a superstructure buried underground. Possibly a city, possibly a crashed mothership from an alien race, or maybe it's the biggest iron deposit ever. Right now, there are 2 leading theories in the astronomy community, and they are both equally cool/terrifying. Theory 1 says that a long time ago, an asteroid with an iron-nickel core might have smacked the moon so hard it left its core behind inside the moon. Computer simulations amazingly back up Theory 1, suggesting that if the asteroid hit just right, like a perfect 8-ball corner pocket shot, its metallic insides could have sunk into the moon's upper mantle. The piece of metal could be nothing but a boring old rock's bones. Theory 2 says the mass could be a super dense glob of metallic oxides, leftovers from when the moon was one giant magma smoothie. Didn't you know the moon used to be a molten ball of goop in the heavens? As it cooled, this chunk of dense stuff might have settled in, squashing the crater floor down like a bowling ball in quicksand. So, scientists say either this metallic mass is an asteroid left over, or a lunar lava burp that never got digested properly. Either way, there is something trapped in the moon, and we want to know what it is. As for why you, my good friend, should care about a lunar lump, that's easy. This strange discovery could help explain how moons, planets, and other big space balls got their shape. According to planetary scientist Sarah Mazrui from Western University, it's just so mysterious. You said it, Sarah. That's the whole thing in a nutshell. The killer black hole. Who would have thought that black holes can be as hangry as you at 2 p.m. when you realize you skipped lunch? Somebody needs to feed this thing before it swallows our whole planet. In a galaxy far away, something horrifyingly massive is on a strict diet, a deadly delicious diet. Scientists just discovered a supermassive black hole that isn't just snacking, it's chowing down the equivalent of 12 moons a day. This thing is the real-life Galactus from Marvel, swallowing planets and crunching on moons for dinner. The galaxy where you'll find this insatiable black hole is GSN 069. which sounds like either a boring space station or your gamer tag from 2010. It's home to the most ravenous beast in the universe. Astronomers from NASA and the ESA found that the black hole isn't just sitting around being mysterious like normal. Nope, it is gobbling heated material 3 times a day, like it's on some kind of horrifying intermittent fasting routine. Giovanni Minuti, the lead astronomer from the ESA, said this black hole is on a meal plan like we've never seen before. In other words, scientists have never spotted a black hole behaving like this. This intergalactic feeding frenzy was first spotted by the European Space Agency's XMM Newton Space Observatory, which noticed giant bursts of energy coming from the black hole in December 2018. NASA's Chandra X-ray Observatory jumped in to catch more action. Together, they tracked the black hole's dramatic snack schedule over 54 days. What they found is nothing short of jaw-dropping. This black hole throws a tantrum every 9 hours. And by tantrum, I mean it explodes with massive X-ray energy bursts. These bursts are deadly to everything they touch. Richard Saston, another scientist on the team, said this gives us a unique opportunity to witness the flow of matter into a supermassive black hole repeatedly speeding up and slowing down, which is science speak for we are watching a 400,000 solar mass monster throw food down its throat in a regular rhythm. And honestly, we don't know why it's being so polite about it. As the black hole feeds, it cranks up the heat on its food. Gas temperatures rocket from 1 million to 2.5 million degrees. So yeah, it likes its meals extra crispy. The data seems to indicate that the black hole is literally cooking its food, even if its food is just raw mass and moon's unlucky enough to fall into its dinner plate. The black hole in question is bigger than your imagination can fathom. That's not a jab at your imagination. This thing is 400,000 times the mass of our sun, which means if it wants to, it could swallow our entire solar system for breakfast and still ask, what's for lunch? 400,000 times the mass of our sun is already almost too big to imagine. We really are just specks of dust in this unending universe. And this whole terrifying buffet might be the remains of a poor star that the black hole shredded like pulled pork. Scientist Margherita Giustini said that the scientific team believes the origin of the X-ray emission they picked up is a star that the black hole has partially or completely torn apart and is slowly consuming bit by bit. The black hole is eating a star like a rotisserie chicken, and these bursts of energy scientists are picking up with their telescopes are the black hole licking its fingers every few hours. Seriously though, what is causing these X-ray emission bursts? Scientists have a couple of ideas, which sound like the setup to a disaster movie. Their first theory is that there's a massive energy buildup that releases in an explosion. The black hole's mealtime might be like a cosmic pressure cooker. Energy builds up during feeding until boom, it explodes in a massive burst. Then it repeats the cycle. The only other option on the menu right now is that the bursts are something even stranger. They could be made by gravity fluctuations or leftover debris from the star being slurped in layer by layer like a slushie. As Margarita put it, the cause of the periodic explosions might be a completely different story, which is scientist code for we have no clue yet, but it is juicy. Knowing all of this, should we be worried that Earth will be gobbled up by a hangry black hole? The short answer is no. This particular black hole is far, far away, and so Earth is safe for now. The long answer is maybe. It's still kind of terrifying to know there are supermassive beasts out there with regular eating schedules, tearing apart stars and burping out X-rays like it's part of their spa day. This discovery helps scientists better understand how black holes grow, how they digest matter, and what happens when a star gets just a little too close. Because who's to say if a black hole won't one day grow so big it slips into our cosmic backyard and starts swallowing up our planets? Then what? How could Earth defend itself from a black freaking hole?
Thanks for watching. Be sure to stay tuned for extra content you might have missed.
Earth 2.0. For the first time ever, we may have found a planet just like Earth. The Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite, codenamed TESS, has discovered the first planet ever that's the perfect distance from its star to support life and is about the same size as Earth. It might even have water. NASA hasn't actually detected liquid water, but the conditions suggest it is a possibility. The planet is being called TOI 700d, and it's one of only a handful of planets the same size as our own within a particular star's habitable zone. The other planets like this that we know about have all been discovered by the Kepler Space Telescope, but TESS is a little bit different. It launched specifically to search for potentially habitable planets just like Earth. It does this by monitoring a large part of the sky known as a sector for 27 days before moving on to the next. This incredibly long stare allows the satellite to track all changes in brightness that would be caused by a planet orbiting its star. As for TOI 700d, it's only about 100 light-years from us, located in the southern constellation Dorado. Its star is about 40% the size and mass of the Sun, and only half its surface temperature. This means it's significantly smaller and colder than our own star. But because of the proximity of Earth 2.0 to this mystery star, the situation is perfect for breeding habitable life. The big problem is that we have no possible way of knowing if any life is thriving. But if the planet has a similar temperature to our own and liquid water, it would be a perfect candidate for our first intergalactic colony. What do you think? Are you ready for it? Let me know in the comments below. Liquid on Titan. On the largest moon of Saturn, Titan, scientists have detected giant canyons flooded with liquid hydrocarbons. The information comes to us thanks to data received from NASA's Cassini spacecraft. The spacecraft took some amazing photographs of very deep canyons on the surface of the moon, which researchers are now confident in saying are dark channels spreading out from the Ligeia Mare Sea, totally filled with liquid. This discovery was the first time that scientists were able to put forth real evidence that Titan has liquid-filled canyons. But of course, this isn't liquid water. For those who don't know, Titan is a frigid and very cold moon, the second biggest in the solar system, with large bodies of liquid methane. The moon is completely crusted over with hydrocarbon ice, and it has lakes and rivers of both liquid methane and ethane. It also has a thick atmosphere that scientists believe is a prime example of what the conditions were like when our solar system was first created. It's true that scientists already knew about Titan's methane seas, but they hadn't known about the canyons. NASA says they believe the canyons may have formed just like the Grand Canyon here on Earth, from thousands and thousands of years of a flowing river carving them out. These canyons are almost 2,000 feet deep in some places, and they are filled to the brim with black liquid methane. Oh yeah, and the surface temperature here is about minus 289 degrees Fahrenheit. Emissions from an alien world. Scientists believe they may have potentially detected radio emissions coming from an alien planet beyond our system for the first time in history. The astronomers behind the detection used a radio telescope in the Netherlands to study a trio of stars that host exoplanets. The researchers noticed that one star system really stood out from all the others, called Tau Boots. The radio signal they picked up was so strong and so polarized that they believe it must have come from a planet's magnetic field. This is according to Jake Turner from Cornell University, the lead author of this new and exciting research. This planet is about 51 light-years from Earth in the constellation Boots. And if you're wondering how an alien planet is able to emit signals that we can pick up here on Earth, it all goes back to Jupiter. These researchers first studied the kinds of emissions that were coming off Jupiter's surface. They then tweaked their measurements to reflect a greater distance from Earth and pointed the radio receiver deeper into the universe. It really all comes down to how powerful a planet's magnetic field is. This is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to detecting alien planets. Once scientists perfect the art of picking up radio emissions, they'll be able to see planets with magnetic fields very far from us. They'll also be able to tell a lot about the planet's history based on its magnetic field. The hum of plasma waves. As of right now, the Voyager 1 spacecraft is somewhere around 14.1 billion miles from the planet Earth, of course. It's moving at an outstanding speed of 38,000 miles per hour, and not too long ago, it passed across the boundary of our solar system and entered into the true gulf of space. And yet, despite this immense distance, Voyager 1 is still sending information back to us. And yes, it is still making new discoveries. One of these discoveries came to us in the form of a sound. Hearing a sound in space doesn't really make a lot of sense for one main reason. There is no sound in space. Sound cannot flow through an empty vacuum. It needs air to travel, or at least something that can act as a medium for the sound waves to pass through. Scientists believe the sound managed to reach Voyager 1 by traveling through space on invisible gases. The actual sound was the hum of plasma waves moving through space. These plasma waves were created by our very own sun. According to the NASA researchers, a solar wind carried gas billions of miles away from the sun when it expelled a burst of plasma. It was probably the result of a solar storm on the star's surface, when plasma spiked and a small burst of it got shot into space. Over 14 billion miles away, Voyager 1 actually picked up the sound of our sun basically belching. Ice volcanoes. NASA has made yet another outstanding discovery on the dwarf planet Ceres, this time in the form of icy volcanoes. Ceres never did get big enough to become an actual planet, instead getting the less popular title of dwarf planet. But even though this little piece of rock isn't technically a planet, it still has some pretty impressive geological features. Observations from NASA's Dawn spacecraft have shown that the little planet could be harboring cryovolcanoes at the bottom of some of its craters. Now, keep in mind that Ceres is located between Mars and Jupiter. It's a piece of rock mostly covered in ice, and a lot of this ice may actually be building up underground, just like lava builds up under volcanoes here on Earth. The cameras on the Dawn spacecraft showed physical flowing material just like lava at the bottom of the craters, except less viscous and tinged blue. It's the same color as material found at the top of a mountain on Ceres that scientists believe once erupted with a mixture of ice and mud. The theory now is that the flowing material is of a similar mixture inside the craters. It's ice mixed with mud and salt, and scientists say it could be erupting out of the weakest points on the dwarf planet's surface. To make things simple, it's ice volcanoes. Ceres literally has volcanoes erupting out icy mud instead of lava. Which do you prefer? Let me know in the comments below. The Mars bug. A scientist from Ohio has made a wild claim that there are insects on Mars. He's based this claim on supposed photographic proof from various NASA Mars rovers throughout the years. His name is William Ramoser, and he isn't actually a crackpot. He is a professor and a specialist in the study of viruses transmitted by arthropods at Ohio University. His evidence is pretty shaky, really only coming from his own interpretation of the photographs, meaning that it can only be considered theory and isn't currently verifiable. He presented his bizarre findings at a national meeting held by the Entomological Society of America. He showed photographs taken from the Mars rovers that seemed to show tiny insects with legs, abdomens, heads, and all the other insect parts. And he claims there is diversity as well, with a lot of different kinds of bugs on the red planet. But according to other scientists, he's completely delusional. Pretty much everybody except him says that he's finding insects where there aren't any. He's looking at rocks and interpreting them as insect fossils. He's doing this in the same way that one might look at a cloud and interpret a dragon. Either that, or he's completely right and everybody else is just trying to cover up the fact that there are indeed insects on Mars. What do you think? Are there really insects on Mars, or is this guy just practicing some wishful thinking? Let me know your theories in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We have lots more videos coming up. Merging black holes. Scientists have discovered a collision between two supermassive black holes. It's one of the most catastrophic and destructive things that scientists have ever seen out in the universe. The pair of supermassive black holes are the nearest ever discovered to our planet. Astronomers say they are currently merging into a single monstrosity of unbelievable proportions. It's happening about 89 million light years away from us in a galaxy called NGC 7727. Scientists have been measuring the mass of each of the black holes by watching how gravity affects the movement of the nearby stars. Observations with the European Southern Observatory's Very Large Telescope have shown the two giant black holes are only 1,600 light years away from each other. In cosmic distance, They are basically breathing in each other's faces. This small separation between the black holes suggests that they will merge into one giant, massively supermassive black hole within the next 250 million years. This is what Holger Baumgart says, a professor at the University of Queensland, Australia. And to give you an idea of just how powerful these celestial objects are, the bigger of the two contains the mass of 154 million suns. The smaller one only contains the mass of 6.3 million suns. But still, the power of these celestial bodies is completely insane. They aren't a danger to us, but you definitely wouldn't want to fly your starship anywhere near them. Dark matter stars. There is a possibility that stars composed totally of dark matter once populated the universe. This isn't a true discovery, more of a theory, but one that's quite interesting anyway. Scientists say that when the Big Bang first happened, the universe was much smaller than it is today. In the smaller environment, dark matter came into existence, and it was then that scientists believe that dark stars may have been born. But here's the twist. Dark matter stars wouldn't have actually been dark. Instead, they would have been the biggest and brightest objects in the universe. No one has ever seen one with their eyes. At least no human ever has. But we are currently looking. And if you're a bit confused about dark matter, so is everybody else. Scientists say that at least 26% of the universe is made of dark matter, and that thousands of these particles pass through your body every second. It's just impossible to detect and study because dark matter is intangible. It emits no light, and it only leaves a gravitational fingerprint behind. In the case of dark matter stars, huge collections of this material began to cluster in patches, eventually forming the first stars in the universe right after the Big Bang, kickstarting the formation of normal stars and then galaxies. But as the universe continually expanded, dark stars became irrelevant, died, and probably went extinct. Water worlds. In a shocking new study, researchers are suggesting that there are exoplanets outside our solar system that are completely covered in water. These are water worlds with oceans deeper than anything we have ever seen before. And by deeper than anything, I'm talking hundreds or even thousands of miles or kilometers deep. The study was done by astronomer Li Zhang of Harvard University and his colleagues. Zhang explained that based on his team's computer simulations, Earth's oceans are basically puddles compared to what's lurking out there on planets outside our solar system. For example, the maximum depth of the ocean on Earth is at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, about 6.8 miles. But there are water worlds out there that are 2 or even 4 times larger than Earth with global oceans. These planets likely formed much further away from their host stars than they are today as giant balls of ice. But as they drifted closer to their stars and got warmer, that ice melted and their gravity was increased, causing the surface ice to turn to water and create oceans thousands of miles deep. And where there's water, there is almost always life. Just imagine a planet with an ocean 1,000 times larger than any we have, and the life forms that must be lurking within it. Weird moon substance. Chinese scientists found a weird substance on the far side of the moon. It happened last year, with their Yutu-2 rover stumbling across a curious substance that nobody could immediately identify. At first, the discovery sparked intense interest among lunar scientists because it didn't look like anything seen on the moon before. However, after a year of analyzing what appeared to be some kind of gel, scientists say the substance is actually made up of rock. They used a process called spectral unmixing to see what the most likely composition of the substance was. According to the researchers, the material is dark green. It glistens, and there is a pile of it about 20 inches long. They found the presence of glass, suggesting it was created during an impact event. There was some kind of impact that caused minerals to cement together and form a black, glossy, glass-like material. It never ended up being mysterious space goo like so many people thought at first, just the leftover rock residue of some past event that generated serious heat. It could have been from a space rock crashing into the moon. It could have even potentially been from some kind of ship taking off, with its thruster melting the surface rock into a type of craggy glass. Thanks for watching! What's the craziest thing you think is hiding out in space? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. See you next time. Bye!